Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker, and can I thank the Backbench Business Committee for scheduling this important debate so close to the United Nations International Day for Education. And after today's very moving debate on Holocaust Memorial Day, I add my tribute to the Holocaust Education Trust for the crucial work that they do, taking sixth formers to visit Auschwitz-Birkenau. The visit I undertook there with students from Hanley Castle High School will remain forever etched in my memory and, importantly, in their young memories. It is vital that this work continue. I also never thought that we would be marking UN International Day of Education at a time when our own schools in the UK are closed to so many children. I share the government's aspiration to reopen our schools as soon as possible and would welcome an even earlier date than the 8th of March by reopening classes in a staged way, even for part of the day, with reception to Year 2 back first and then gradually adding additional classes. Let's also make the most of fresh air and exercise like the wonderful forest schools that so many of the West Worcestershire primary schools enjoy. And I also welcome the important investment that the government is making in extra support and catch-up tuition to help each child make the most of their potential. But Madam Deputy Speaker, around the world, even before the pandemic, some 258 million children and adolescents were out of school. The majority of them were girls. More than half of 10-year-olds in low and middle-income countries were not learning even to read a simple text. As a result of the pandemic, some 1.3 billion children around the world have seen their schools close at some point in the last 12 months. And Madam Deputy Speaker, I quote, 12 years of full-time education is not the only answer to the world's problems. It is not a panacea, but it is not far short. Those are not my words, Madam Deputy Speaker. They are the words of our Prime Minister when he was Foreign Secretary. He knows that in many of the poorest, most conflict-torn countries, it is mainly girls who drop out of school early, who lag boys in literacy levels, and who have children when they too are still children. The Prime Minister continued, "Female education is the universal spanner, the Swiss Army knife that helps tackle so many of the world's problems. The best and biggest thing we can do for the world is to make sure that every girl gets 12 years of full-time education." It's wonderful that as we begin 2021 and the UK presides over the G7, that girls' education has made it onto the agenda, and my wonderful colleague from Maidstone has been appointed the Prime Minister's envoy. The UK's G7 goal is to get a commitment to getting 40 million more girls into education and 20 million more girls reading by the age of 10. And while here in the UK we're rightly concerned about the importance of laptops for remote education, we should also not forget how important the low-tech and simple things are, like exercise books, pencil, chalk and textbooks, and older technology for radio for children around the world who are also having to undergo remote education. And it's also wonderful that later in 2021, the UK and Kenya have agreed to co-host the replenishment of the Global Partnership for Education, which is the only multilateral organisation that crowds in funding from richer countries to help education budgets in very poor countries. So I wholly endorse the leadership that the Prime Minister and the government are showing on education globally. A better educated world will be a healthier, more peaceful and more prosperous one, and that surely benefits us all. But that leadership will need bolstering with money from the UK aid budget. The Minister will know that I oppose the temporary reduction of the Overseas Development Assistance target, as it not only breaks our manifesto commitment, but it will also mean less money available to tackle hunger, deliver vaccines, and educate children in poor countries and make sure they've got clean water. I welcome the commitment that the UK has made to the Vaccines Alliance, and I welcome the commitment we've made to doubling international climate finance. But can the Minister reassure the House today that the cut in the aid budget is not going to affect the money spent on education for the world's poorest children? No. Will our contribution to the replenishment of the Global Partnership for Education be at least as generous and ambitious as before? Will as many girls as before be helped to remain in school through projects like the Girls' Education Challenge? And will she consider launching more UK aid match projects so that we can all donate more and have it matched by UK aid? What progress is she making as Minister for the European Neighbourhood and the Americas in encouraging our friends in the US to step up and spend more on global education under the new incoming Biden administration? So, Madam Deputy Speaker, with new vaccines coming online, we're starting the process of building back better after this awful pandemic, and we're starting the process of levelling up our own country as we recover. But we also have a key role to play in building back and levelling up our world, both in our country and around the world, ensuring every child gets a quality education, no matter how poor the country into which they are born is, will be the most important way in which we can build a stronger, more resilient and healthier world for our children.
Thank you. The question is that this House has considered UN International Day of Education. Members will be aware that there is to be a time limit of 3 minutes per speech for the backbenches. I know that's very short, but I must explain that if everybody takes 3 minutes, not everyone who is on the list will get in. So, if members were able to take just a little bit less than 3 minutes and share out the time equally, then everybody will have the chance to speak. We'll start with Sarah Champion.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker.